When are we going to start discussing her in the same manner that we discuss Caitlin Clark? I mean, you look at her abilities and what she is unique. Did you catch Stephen A. Smith's most recent analysis? If so, you probably raised your eyebrows in shock. This man, who is regarded as one of the most respected voices in sports, had the gall to suggest that JuJu Watkins should be discussed in the same manner that we discuss Caitlin Clark. That's not just a reach, it's a full-blown fantasy. We're talking about a player with 67 double-doubles and 17 triple-doubles being compared to someone with 15 and 0. When you consider her skill set, her ability to handle the ball, drive, make shots, and make three-point shots, this sister is something special. She is amazing. Pull up Jay. We saw her coming last year, but now that Caitlin Clark is gone, we should be concentrating on her even more. As I mentioned when Caitlin Clark was the golden goose, that's the thing. The irony is that Stephen A. Smith is behaving like a helpless bystander in the media machine, complaining why JuJu doesn't receive more attention. News flash, Stephen A. You are the media, literally sitting on one of the most influential platforms in all of sports, and you get to decide who gets airtime. If JuJu isn't receiving the spotlight, perhaps start by looking in the mirror. The only question I have about JuJu now is why she isn't receiving more love. Golden Goose didn't mean that she was the best player in the world, it just meant that she was pretty damn good and coming okay and the fans loved her. When are we going to start talking about her the same way we talked about Caitlin Clark? He asked, when are we going to start talking about her the same way we talked about Caitlin Clark? As if he doesn't have complete control over the narrative on his own show. The man practically writes the rundown himself. When we see Caitlin Clark pull up from logo range, oh well, I'll be down. When we see Caitlin Clark running the floor and finding Hannah Stuelke like Peyton Manning finds Marvin Harris. Well, it's not that JuJu Watkins isn't talented, she is, but great generational Caitlin Clark is already revolutionizing the sport at the professional level. To compare JuJu to Clark at this point would be like comparing someone training for a marathon to someone who has already crossed the finish line, set the record, and waved to the audience. The biggest issue is that this is his show and he's choosing not to discuss JuJu. The funny thing is that deep down, I believe Stephen A. knows why they aren't discussing JuJu Watkins. If he truly believed what he was saying, he could have JuJu on ESPN tomorrow and do an entire segment on her career stats in future. However, he chooses the easy viral moment, knowing full well that the comparison is absurd. Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. She signed my jersey and I'm crying so happy, this is the best day ever. The Caitlin Clark effect seems to be more bizarre than year one, and I love watching her score and everything about her. They went above and beyond just to watch her play. This is fantastic news for women's basketball in general because of how passionate she is about the game and how many people want to see her. The Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA, which is good for the WNBA as a whole. This isn't an anti-JuJu tirade. She has talent, charisma, and a bright future, but Stephen A. stated that she already deserves the same treatment as Caitlin Clark, which is just irrational. It's not that JuJu isn't good, rather she hasn't arrived yet, and there is no shame in that. Special JuJu is an amazing player and I adore her personality. She's aggressive on the court, and you're either going to lose 2 points or you're going to lose a foul. The entire segment felt like Stephen A. was making up a story to create drama where none exists. If you want to win, give JuJu Watkins some time to carve out her own path, but don't act like she's already changed the record books before her first chapter is even finished. JuJu, yes, she can score her butt off, don't get me wrong. Stephen A., if you're going to push a narrative, at least make sure it passes the laugh test right now. You're not just holding the salt shaker, you dumped the entire thing in the soup and wondered why it tastes. You don't get to create a media moment and act surprised when people aren't buying the spin. You built the machine, so now take responsibility for what it's producing. Score her butt off, but is she facilitated at a high level right now? We're going to break it all down, man. Attempting to force a comparison doesn't elevate JuJu, instead it makes the entire conversation look desperate. I just want to throw this statistic at you. Caitlin Clark had 67 double-doubles and 17 triple-doubles in 139 games. She was more than just a scoring machine. By contrast, JuJu Watkins had 15 double-doubles and 0 triple-doubles through 62 games. Narratives become absurd when people in positions of power act as though they have no power, and in this case the only thing Stephen A is truly helpless against is the cold hard truth. Let's talk numbers. Caitlin Clark scored 2,000 points in 75 games, which is video game stuff. JuJu would need to score 33 points per game for the next 12 games in a row to tie Caitlin, who isn't on the rise and is chasing a comet with roller skates. Now let's read this. Caitlin 75, Della Dunn 75. JuJu Watkins has 604 points in 62 games and needs to average 33 points over the next 12 games to reach 274 games. If you compare their first 62 college games, you can see that the points are close, 1,662 for Clark and 1,604 for JuJu. Rebounds nearly non-existent, even 433 for Clark and 436 for JuJu, but assists are where the wheels come off. Clark recorded 471 assists, while JuJu only had 214. This isn't a slight difference, it's a huge indication of how different their roles are on the court. One leads the offense and motivates a whole team, while the other is still figuring out how to divide. In 62 games, Caitlin scored 1,662,604 points, while JuJu averaged 26 or 27. JuJu averaged 26 rebounds, 433 rebounds for Caitlin, and 436 rebounds for JuJu, so she won there. What separates a scorer from someone who controls the entire flow of a game is that Caitlin Clark was running the entire offense and improving everyone around her. This is the main difference here, and what many people don't understand is that you're getting all these assists and still making it difficult for people to get to your basket. She was creating almost twice as many scoring opportunities for her teammates as JuJu Watkins while still putting up huge scoring numbers herself. Scoring records, which is crazy, but the shooting percentages tell an even more disgusting tale. For example, in this comparison, Clark made 46% of her field goals and 37% of her three-pointers, while JuJu is only making 41% of her field goals and a shaky 33% from downtown. When you're making that many attempts, those percentage differences get really big, so it's not just a bad shooting night, it's a persistent decline in efficiency. Now let's look at Caitlin's shooting percentages. I'll just read the numbers for you. 41% from JuJu from the 3, 37% from the 3, 32 or 33% for JuJu. Okay, 87 for Caitlin. 84 from the free throw for JuJu, and then you look at the big scoring nights in their respective first 62 game samples. Clark had 23 games where she dropped at least 30 points, and JuJu had 20 points. That's still impressive, but Clark's frequency and consistency in putting up big numbers is on another level. Every few games she was essentially putting together performances that could have made the SportsCenter's main event. It's not a criticism of Watkins as a player, but if we're talking about legendary status versus up-and-coming star, that's where the line gets drawn. Caitlin has 26 double-doubles, JuJu has 15 double-doubles, and of course Caitlin currently has 6 triple-doubles. However, the real mic drop moment was when Clark recorded an incredible 67 double-doubles and 17 triple-doubles in college. JuJu has 15 double-doubles and hasn't recorded a single triple-double yet. It's completely ridiculous for Stephen A. Smith to act as though they belong in the same sentence. If this had happened 3 years ago, trust me, JuJu would have been fantastic because she would have been another, oh my god, a great women's basketball player. Oh goodness gracious, this is amazing. The statistics don't just highlight a gap, they expose a canyon. Clark is setting all-time records that rival the greats, while JuJu, despite her obvious talent, is still finding her groove. There wouldn't be any discussion about it because, as you recall, she would have just been another wind gust or leaf floating through the air. Speaking of Steph Curry's signature moves, just as LeBron's step-back threes forced teams to modify their entire defense, Clark adds that same chaos with her endless range. She's not just hitting long shots occasionally, she's stepping into 30-footers with ease as if it were nothing. That type of shooting stretches defenses in ways JuJu doesn't understand. How many people shoot logos, threes? How many players in the league can do that? It's a unique skill that Caitlin has that many other players don't have. In addition, I would say that Sabrina can score and facilitate. This is another aspect that JuJu lacks. When you watch both players side by side, it's clear that JuJu's game is based on physicality. She lives in the paint, muscles her way to the rim, and thrives in traffic. She's a classic downhill driver, and she's excellent at it, but there's a reason why defense can still shut that down. This is JuJu's entire career shooting chart. As I mentioned earlier, her game is to drive you. She will either get downhill and get the two, or you will give up a foul. That's her game. She is unstoppable in that way, and she plays to her strength, which is flawless. I want you all to see how empty it is back here. She doesn't really take these far back threes, but Clark's shot chart looks like it was created by a crazy scientist. From ridiculous distances, we're talking rainbow threes from 7 feet beyond the arc. These are shots that most coaches would try, and she's hitting them so fast that defenders are forced to guard her almost at half court. Now if you look at Caitlin's, check out how crazy this chart is, family. I can't even see these numbers, but this is asinine. Okay, see how hot these areas are. Many people forget that Caitlin also had a 3-level score in college, which totally skews defenses. This is the difference, which is why people were talking about Caitlin Clark the way they were talking about her. I love JuJu gang, and I'm not even making this video to trash talk her. When you have to guard someone 35 feet out, the entire defense breaks down, rotations slow down, lanes open up, and teammates suddenly look like all-stars because they're getting wide open looks thanks to the gravity Clark creates. JuJu doesn't stretch defenses like that. She's a threat in the lane, not a floor spacer, and it's just on fire up in here. Attempting to explain to you why Caitlin Clark is more captivating than JuJu. The fact is that Clark's game isn't just revolutionary for women's basketball, it mirrors Steph Curry's impact on the men's team. When you combine that with her vision and ability to sling cross-court dimes through traffic, you have a once-in-a-generation talent. Even when you ignore the statistics and just watch the game, Clark is playing at a different level. She's not just scoring, she's controlling the tempo, manipulating defenses, and putting her entire team in. JuJu, on the other hand, plays a more conventional role. She scores a lot of points but doesn't bend the game the same way many of them can. I'm saying that there are players who can drive, go downhill, lay the ball up efficiently, and occasionally shoot the three because that's the kind of player JuJu is. She goes downhill, lays the ball up, shoots around the perimeter, and goes for the three. One player that immediately comes to mind that does that is Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Mitchell, she does it in Asia. Let's be clear, JuJu Watkins is real. She has talent, she's exciting, and her ceiling is extremely high. However, it's just ridiculous to try to act like she's already on Caitlin Clark's level. JuJu is a star in the making, and Caitlin Clark is a force that is changing the game from generation to generation. So why aren't we talking about JuJu the way we talked about Caitlin Clark? Because she's not Caitlin, she doesn't captivate the audience like Caitlin, she doesn't draw like Caitlin, she doesn't sell like Caitlin, she doesn't do anything like Caitlin. The reason Stephen A. Smith's comments are so annoying isn't just about one hot take. It's a larger problem with how media narratives are shaped. Analysts are so eager to identify the next Caitlin Clark that they start looking for illogical comparisons, and in doing so they actually do a lot of harm. Caitlin's only accomplishment is scoring the basketball. She needs to take 16, 18, 20 shots per game. So she needs to be high usage, low efficiency to reach the scoring numbers that she reaches. When we say that I think JuJu is better than Caitlin Clark, you have to let the Caitlin fans say what they want to say and defend themselves. I see a lot of people get upset that the Caitlin fans are refuting the comparison, but then the JuJu fans are coming up and saying, hey JuJu, you deserve to be appreciated for your journey, not forced into a narrative she hasn't earned yet. This is disrespectful to both players, as Clark has already redefined the game and is the new yardstick. The fact that everyone is comparing Caitlin Clark to their favorite player speaks volumes about Caitlin. It's like everyone comparing their career to Michael Jordan. She's the best in college basketball, so I'm sure you know why everyone is comparing her to Caitlin Clark. So the next time you hear someone try to say JuJu is the new Caitlin Clark, hit pause, look at the statistics, watch the games, and notice the impact. The numbers and the footage don't lie, and the gap is greater than. Let's celebrate JuJu Watkins for who she is, a fantastic young player with a bright future, rather than what Stephen A. Smith and the media want her to be in order to get clicks. Clark is setting records, and JuJu is chasing them, and that's perfectly fine, but acting like they're equals right now is the kind of take that deserves to be roast. Do you agree? If so, please leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. Click the video on the screen, and we'll take care of it. Shall see you in the upcoming